So we're now looking at what's essentially one of the final proposals in this entire CBA saga between the Women's National Basketball Players Association and the WNBA. And honestly, this is where things get concerning. For months, most people assumed one thing: the players were not going to get a true gross revenue share. That was always viewed as unrealistic. And now that we're seeing the numbers, that assumption looks accurate. The proposal on the table offers only a minor share, very minor, nowhere near what the players originally targeted. But here's where it gets interesting. An article from Front Office Sports basically justified the league's position by arguing that it's fine if the WNBA loses money, because NBA owners are making money elsewhere. And I'm sorry, but hasn't that been a justification for the league losing money for the past decade? At some point, that logic stops being comforting. Now here's the real issue: the salary cap. The players reportedly want around $10 million. The owners are holding firm at roughly $5.7 million. That's not a small gap. That's not something you casually meet in the middle on. That's a canyon. And the league didn't even significantly bump the offer. They essentially sent back a version of what was already rejected. No meaningful movement. No symbolic increase to show compromise. Nothing that suggests urgency. Even if the cap had moved to $6 million, you could argue there's room to negotiate up to $6.50 or $7 million. But right now, there's no middle ground. The owners are basically saying, this is a number. Take it or leave it. Now let's talk about the strike possibility. A strike used to be extremely risky for players, but today, it's less risky than it was 2 years ago. The league's visibility is higher. Revenues are up. Momentum exists. But here's the problem. Walking away from a deal that could make most players guaranteed millionaires is not a small gamble. That's generational money for many of them. And if you strike and lose leverage, you may not get back to that level again. At the same time, the owners look willing to hardball this. And yes, they absolutely have the legal right to do that. But we are now at a point where people are blaming the players for not moving enough, while the league has effectively drawn a line in the sand. Earlier in negotiations, I did think some of the players' original demands weren't realistic, especially if they were banking on the Caitlin Clark boom continuing at its current pace. And let's be clear, the boom driven by Caitlin Clark changed everything financially for this league. But here's the key difference. The owner's proposal works even if growth slows down. The player's proposal only works if growth explodes. That's the fundamental divide. The owners are protecting downside risk. The players are betting on upside potential. And when those philosophies clash, things break. We're now at a stage where it genuinely feels like both sides are willing to risk serious damage. And when negotiations reach that point, you have to ask uncomfortable questions. Could the league actually face a shutdown scenario? Could ownership restructuring happen? Could new investors step in? Could equity be reshuffled? We've already seen outside investors take minority stakes in the league at valuations that ended up multiplying significantly. What looked expensive at 15 to 16% ownership turned out to 10x in value after the growth spike. So clearly, there is belief in long-term upside. But short-term cash flow and long-term valuation are two very different things. Right now, financially, I don't see an easy fix. And when there's no easy fix, negotiations get ugly. Personally, I've always said I support whichever side is pushing hardest to make sure basketball is played. At this exact moment, it feels like the players want a season more urgently, but the owners want a season on their terms. And if it's not on their terms, it honestly feels like they're prepared to let things burn. That's the dangerous part. Because once you cross that line, rebuilding trust is nearly impossible. I can't see this ending particularly well for the players if the numbers don't move. But I also can't see this ending smoothly for the league if the standoff continues. We're in real territory now. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Are the players asking for too much? Or are the owners playing too hard? And as always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.